Hello. So today I'm going to talk about these two hand planes I recently restored. So they're both in similar condition, pretty, not that bad, but rusty all along the sole on sides. Yeah, the lacquer on the totes were all cracked. They were just rusty, but they were not that hard to restore. So this is a DUNLAP plane, and this is a Worth hand plane. If you can see, it says Worth. So, I mean, DUNLAP is obviously more well-known. These are both somewhat budget planes, and I think they were both made in a similar era, probably around the 50s. I'm just kind of guessing. But the interesting thing about the Worth, however, and this makes it really a budget plane, is that it has a stamped steel iron that's not machined. It's just not stamped, bent steel iron, I mean. Whereas this one has not iron, what am I saying? A bent steel frog on this one compared to the standard machined frog with mostly around the sides that are on most hand planes. So that is the main difference. The DUNLAP has a much nicer adjuster wheel. The Worth has a very small wheel. They both have a fairly hefty amount of backlash, but this one is easier to adjust just due to the larger diameter of the wheel. This one, I did more to the totes and knobs, so it feels nicer in my hands. And so this one, it seemed to work pretty well as a smoothing plane. I was getting good shavings. I sharpened both of them to like 2000 grit plus strop. But this is definitely a better hand plane, and it is a budget plane, but it's nice. It looks pretty nice, I'd say, and it seems to work pretty well. It doesn't have the back adjustment screws for the frog like some fancy planes have, but that's no big deal. This plane, it worked as a smoothing plane. I'm really not sure why, but it was just much more finicky. For some reason, it was much harder for me to adjust the lateral adjuster. That may just be a personal thing, but obviously the adjusting wheel is not as big. The stamped steel iron, many people, when I researched it online, were hating on it, and it is probably not ideal, but it seemed to work okay. I did not flatten the sole on this nearly as much as I did on this, so that maybe it just wasn't performing quite or feeling quite as well as the DUNLAP was for smoothing tasks. So I think, and what I was planning to do is turn this one, the Worth plane, into a scrub plane with a highly cambered iron, and those you can make a decent scrub plane out of really any hand plane, because there's really not that much precision to it. So I think I would do that, and that should work pretty well. And then this seems like it'll be a good smoother. So yeah, I don't know if that's interesting at all to anyone, but just figured I'd share my thoughts. All right.